the end of the day.
It's Mel.
And me. You wanna know
How we did it.
You wanna know how we do it. You wanna know
How we
we're
doing
doing
it.
Welcome to the Mel and Me podcast.
At the end of the day.
Sawubona.
Yebo. Unjani.
Unjani. Okay. Ngizizwa. Ngimule. Ngiyabonga. Yeah, what's up, everybody?
Hello.
Mel and Me, we're back.
We are back.
Episode 13.
Yeah.
Figure we practice our Zulu a little bit, so
Yeah,
we
we're
just went through a
trying.
little thing right there where I
Yeah.
just greeted her to say hello. Of course, South African people will know it.
Yes.
It'll be our fellow Americans who don't really get it, what it is that we just said there. But that was just a greeting to say hello, and a response of acknowledging that hello and how you doing.
Right.
And then I just responded, I'm well, I'm fine, I'm beautiful. Thank you. And I am beautiful, by the way.
Yes.
Just look at me.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yes.
But we're back. We're recording, and actually by the time this will air on Tuesday, but we actually are recording this on Saturdays because we record on Saturdays. And how about them Springboks today? We actually watched
We did.
we watched the World Cup final today.
It was interesting.
It was very interesting because obviously being Americans, rugby is not really a sport here. We are a basketball, football, baseball kind of country. But again, because we kind of have a foot planted on South African soil,
Yeah.
we want to start to learn to appreciate those sports over there.
Yeah.
And so we watched it today.
For the first time.
For the first time, we watched a
Yeah.
rugby match from start to finish, and it was the final of South Africa versus New Zealand, in which the Springboks won.
Yes.
Right?
It
So it
was
was,
crazy.
Yeah, and of course I got my I think this is one of the alternate jerseys. This was not the one that they wore today.
No.
But I love this jersey. This is
Yeah.
like real cool looking. My son has our son has a jersey that they wore today.
Yeah.
He took that one from me. I have three of them. I got this one, and then I have the one that they had on today, and then I have the one, it's similar to the one they had on today, but it doesn't have the collar on it. It's a crew neck like this one, which of course you know that, right?
Yeah.
But so it was interesting just watching the game, trying to figure out the gist of the sport, which I saw elements of U.S. basketball,
Football.
and soccer.
Soccer.
Kind of all in one.
It even seemed like a little bit of wrestling was going on.
A little bit of wrestling
A little
too.
bit of wrestling.
A little bit of wrestling too. I mean, you're talking about the scrum,
Yeah.
which I kind of learned the scrum. It was a little bit confusing to me, but then
Yeah.
looking it up, it kind of made sense. It lined up with what it was I described, that we were looking at on TV. I'm like, it's looking like they're all hunching down, and at some point, the
Yeah.
ball is put underneath there. I don't know if they call
we
it
was
a
trying
ball.
to look for the ball. Like, where's the ball?
Where's it going? And they're pushing it back, and
Yeah.
but it was a very interesting game.
Very
South
interesting.
Africa got out front
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning, which was great. They had a couple really good kicks, I guess is what you would call it. He got a couple kicks through the goal posts. They went up, I think it was either 6-3 or 9-3.
What, 12? It
at
was
the half,
12.
something
Yeah,
like that.
12-6 at the half. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then of course New Zealand, they kind of made a run for it. And they had that one score that they got across the goal, but then they
Took the score back
wiped
'cause
it
of
out
penalty.
because of some penalty or something. Then they had a red card. It was different.
Very,
trying to
yeah.
really understand everything.
The
but
yellow card, then upgrade to the red card.
yeah,
What's going on?
yeah, and then my man, Bonji? What was his name? Bongi.
The one that
big
got the
guy.
red.
That,
Oh, the one that got hurt?
Hurt and
Oh,
like
yeah.
only a couple of minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was the player that they had the kind of controversy around after the game with England or whatever. But obviously he ended up playing the game. But then he got hurt like 2 minutes in, it seemed like. I was like, and of course I don't really know the team. So I was like, oh man, they're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
But then they had the one guy he's a real speedy guy on
the
the
one
team.
that
He's
got
really
the one that got the penalty. 6 minutes left. I think it was 7 minutes left in the game.
And he ended up having to sit out the rest of the remainder of the game.
Yeah, but he did. He
but
did.
It was,
he did his thing though. It was good.
But they held those guys off and won the World Cup. So congratulations to the South African Springboks and congratulations to the country. So we were glad to be able to watch that. And again, of course, having a foot planted in South Africa now, being property owners, you kind of feel a little bit special there.
Yeah.
So we feel special, even though we're just kind of learning. So if you allow us to hitch ourselves to your good fortune, our South African people,
we celebrate that forward over here too.
We celebrating that with y'all, right?
Yeah.
So so we just wanted to take a minute and just shout the team out, man, and just shout the country out with that. That was really exciting.
Yeah, they earned that.
So so episode 13. I don't know what we're gonna call this episode at this point. I know a lot of times we have titles for episodes and stuff, but it's just episode 13. But I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna call it. Maybe by the time I get the editing done and we broadcast it and everything, we will have a name for it at this point. But we're just gonna talk about a couple different things, man. Coming off of our trip last week, it was a wonderful trip, and we ended up doing a recap episode last week.
Right.
And the thing was, man, the response that we got to that episode and our South African content since that time has just been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah. And we're definitely appreciative of that.
Yeah, we are so appreciative of that. It's like the growth of our YouTube channel since that time has just been it's unbelievable. We have seen growth in the past few days since we've returned back from South Africa, as we have since we launched the channel, which has been over 2 months now.
Yeah. It's been longer than 2 months.
It's been maybe a little bit longer than 2 months. It was August when we did our first episode.
Yeah. Wow.
But man, I just want to say to the South African people, we're so thankful for that, and it's because of you. It has not been, and I'll repeat, it has not been because of our American family, and I'm talking friends, family, people that we know. It is not, and we have had some subscribers, but our growth has been because of the South African people showing up and coming across our content and tuning in. And not only have you all tuned into our content, but you have interacted with us on the feeds for our videos. Yeah, and
providing additional information and more insight. Yes, suggestions, everything.
And you provided a bunch of comments and stuff that has helped, I think, to drive content. Yeah. And so, when I look at the analytics on our channel and just, the amount of views that have gone up on certain videos, just the level of engagement overall, first time viewers, return viewers, the average time that a video is being viewed is just going up exponentially. And so what that tells me, what that tells us, and especially doing what I do as a profession, being a technology professional, and this is what I do, working with databases and analyzing data, and part of my skill set, is business intelligence, analytics, that type of stuff, where I go and look at data that resides in databases, and you build reports, based off of analytics to present information for you to make decisions, right? And so what our analytics tell us is that we need to do more South African focused content. That's just the truth. Facts. Those are the facts based on our analytics. And so our aim, I think, is to do that. And we're going to try to figure out how to do that, because obviously, we're not on the ground every day in South Africa. And I think that I think we've kind of made it clear, and I've tried to make it clear in responding to people who post on our channel. You know that this for us, this is a long-term thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that we just picking up and we have just gone over there. We have a piece of property there.
Yeah.
That we will spend time with, and we're figuring out how to get all that worked out as far as how often we're going to be back and forth there. But it's definitely a long term, and it's going to be something that we're going to be really focused and deliberate about how we approach it and what we do, right?
Right.
And so the challenge for us is going to be how to figure out how to sprinkle in our South African content, things that we can relate to, from our experience there. We can relate to people on that side as well as people on this side.
Right.
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 So and to take and figure out how to sprinkle that in between our trips there and what we gather from our visits there and our interactions with people and just different things. It's so much really, that we can do, and we're going to have to find creative ways to do that. And I think we will.
Agree. Yeah.
At the same time, I would like for everybody to understand out there, especially our South African people, that, Mailing Me the podcast, we are, the South Africa piece is just one piece of it.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
I think our main goal is to present just our perspective as a team and how we approach life. Not just in our pursuits of things that are South Africa, but here in the United States or America, as we like to call it. Right. They're just living life. In the United States presents its own challenges.
Yeah.
And in order to achieve a certain level of success and to sustain yourself, it requires a certain mentality. You go through certain experiences and stuff, right? And we've had all of those experiences, and we'll discuss those, over our episodes as we have already, right?
Right.
But there are things and perspectives that we have and different approaches that we found that work for us.
Exactly.
And so I think that different topics that we share may not necessarily be about South Africa itself, always necessarily talking South Africa, will be able to be applied.
Right, because you being in America or South Africa, depending on the approach and what works best for you, you may be able to, utilize what it is that the information that we're providing may be something that can work for you, whether you're in South Africa, whether you're here in the States.
Yeah, and it's just about various topics. It can be about, finance, family, relationships.
Because that's across the board, regardless where you're from.
Yeah, just any kind of thing. Just, things that inspire us, life purpose type stuff, life skills. And we don't have all the answers, but it's just really about sharing information. So that's our goal. But we're definitely going to figure out how to involve more South African content, especially with us now, owning a piece of property there, having a piece of real estate or whatever, however we want to refer to it, because there are people that have shown up to the channel that are trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that's always good. And then there are certain things that go along with that I think we're going to kind of get into in this episode right here. And that's why I don't have a name for it, because I think what we want to do is I want to take and kind of, with this episode, I want to kind of address some of the things that have come out of our last episode and a lot of the comments and engagement that we've had with people on our channel.
Right.
So I think that's a good approach for this episode. And I think we'll discuss it in the context of our property purchase in South Africa, because I think our owning property over there, and I always, for some reason, whenever I say owning property, that sometimes doesn't quite sit well with me. I don't know why. And it's probably a couple reasons, but maybe I'll get past it at some point. But I'll say, I think a better way of saying it is having a residence in South Africa. I think that's the way we'll approach it going forward. We'll just say having a residence, because we do have a residence over there now. So that's what we're going to go with, having a residence in South Africa. So there was always a bigger picture with us in doing that. I think there were a couple things behind that. Would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, very much a bigger picture. I don't think it was ever about just getting something, and I have to say it this way: buying a piece of property.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
I don't think it was ever about just buying a
No.
piece of property over there. I think there's a life purpose for us in that we've reached the stage in our life where we want to reconnect with the continent.
Yeah.
And we found that South Africa was the best fit for us, as we kind of discussed in a previous episode, right?
Exactly.
And it's also, I think, having a home base, as we discussed, to do other things,
Right.
to benefit
Yeah.
South Africa and the continent as a whole. Now, obviously, the African continent is huge. We're just two people,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
We're only two people,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, I think the mindset that we have is, yes, we are two people, but you have a whole entire diaspora, right? And you have, we're just two people of many billions of people, right?
Right.
So, one person can make a small difference.
Exactly.
And if, as additional individuals try to make a difference, that's when you start to see progress.
Yes.
It's like you be the example. I guess that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I think we were kind of looking to be an example for others to follow.
Yeah, I can agree
Right?
with that. Yeah.
So that's always been, I think, our bigger picture. It's like, okay, let's find a way to give ourselves options to where if we want to be someplace else,
We can.
we can be someplace else.
Yeah.
And not only just be someplace else, but we can contribute
and make a difference.
contribute, right? On some level, on the
yeah,
smallest
yeah, on
level.
the small
It's
level.
not about saving the world or any of that
Yeah,
kind of stuff,
yeah.
because we just two
can't-
people. We can't
yeah.
do that, and that's not our goal.
Right.
Our thing is, how can we find some place to get in where we fit in, right? And just make a small difference.
Yeah.
And that small difference can look it can look like a myriad of things, right? So, and maybe we'll just we'll get into that some here. By the way, we got our tea back.
Yes.
Mel and Me in the Mel and Me mug right there. Yeah, we
Yes.
still got those. These are the only two. We'll have if we ever have a reason to sell, we'll have additional ones made and we can sell them. But right now they just provides us a means to have some refreshments and stuff. So for us, it's what I like to call a measured and pragmatic approach. Go in with your eyes wide open.
Yes.
Operate with your eyes wide open. Be practical. It's not about us, and it's not about just simply going and taking, let's just say, relatively speaking, right? Relatively speaking, we're in the United States where we know life is a bit different. It's a lot more expensive.
Yes.
There are a lot more life requirements in order to keep your head above water, because we live in a extremely capitalistic society, right?
Yes.
So, it takes that much more for you to maintain, and you have to really be on it like all the time, right?
Yep.
Because one misstep
Yes.
and you can be done,
Yes.
right? So when you take someone like us as Americans, Black Americans even, where we know as Black Americans, we are at a disadvantage in the
Yes.
United States, right?
Yeah.
But relatively speaking, when we go across the water, okay, into a developing nation such as South Africa, we have advantages that they don't have there. And that we just have to be totally honest about that, right?
Yes.
And so it is up to us to not only be aware of that, but to manage that accordingly,
I agree.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
And so that's how we go into this thing. It's not as, a snooty elite American, relatively speaking,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Exactly.
We're, after all, just regular people.
Yeah, we are.
And all you have to do is step on this soil right here, and you'll see
quickly
how
realize
regular
that.
we are.
Right.
How regular we are.
Yeah.
So all things are relative, right? And so, but it's up to us to realize that we do have a relative advantage, right? And govern ourselves accordingly. And so, for us, that helps to shape my mindset of just taking on a contributory mindset and being a listener, if you will, right? It's not about imposing my will or my ideas on that situation over there. It's just like, take it all in, embrace it, get in where you fit in, find out where you fit in,
Exactly.
and find a way to contribute.
Yes.
So that's our broader vision,
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
You
It is.
concur?
Yes.
Yeah, and so, I think that we have a few things to offer in that regard. When you look at what we do professionally,
Yes.
And again, as we said a second ago, relatively speaking, from an economic perspective as well, because we will take certain things over there in the process of investing and engaging in tourism and that type of stuff. We are injecting money into that economy, which ultimately, hopefully, benefits the people. It translates, right? And we know, how the world works, no different than it does over here. There's a lot of moving parts to that whole thing, but that's our idea as us two, Mel and me, right?
Exactly.
But our respective careers, my being a technology professional, and
Me being a social worker.
working in social services, right?
Yeah.
So, we think that we have, between the two of us, in what we bring professionally, just our perspectives. I think that can be of great benefit.
Yeah, I do.
In that society over there. Being in social services and being a technology professional, because of course, South Africa being a developing nation as classified, right? There's a lot, to be done and a lot to be accomplished, and when you have people over there who are not just there to, I guess, live it up, if you will,
Right.
just
But
be tourists.
I've been thinking, if you have a skill set, why not? And you're in the position, to be able to use your skill set to help. Then, to me, I think it's a no-brainer.
To partner.
Yeah, to partner with them.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of people a lot of people don't necessarily think on that level, and because it's a lot that goes into it as well. So I think a lot of times it could just be fear. I don't know.
Some just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
Some just want to just go
But you have
kick
to
it
think
and
beyond
party
that.
and
Yeah.
live the glitz and glamour and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
You have to think beyond that.
You have to think beyond it, because there's work to be done.
Yes.
And if you look around, you'll see that there's work to be done. And you can have some of the other stuff as well.
Yeah, you can do it both.
but don't neglect,
Right.
some of the work that needs to be done.
Right.
And so that's been our thing from the very beginning, and I my focus and my aim as we go forward, with our residents in South Africa is to be from that perspective.
Right.
And so, one thing that's always important to me, and we kind of alluded to that, is respect and consideration for the South African people.
Yes.
I don't, I'm not going over there
Imposing
again,
our ideas.
like I said,
and how we do
I'm an
stuff.
American, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Right.
Nah, because they have their culture, they have their history,
Exactly.
and so it's up to us to
respect that.
and to learn.
Yes.
And that's something that I try to that's why I engage in conversations with people. Just like we're sitting here talking right now. I had a really good conversation when we were there last week with one of the brothers that's the security guy at the entry to our community and stuff like that. Had a really good conversation with him, and in those conversations, it always starts out where you're talking to somebody, and of course they hear your accent.
Yeah.
It's always weird when I hear somebody tell me I have an accent, because
Yeah.
when you're living here, it's like,
Right.
but then you go to another country, it's like, oh, your accent, and they kind
Yeah.
of know you're American or whatever, or from the United States, and so we invariably there a discussion ensues from there, and then we just start talking about stuff, man, and it always at some point gets into like the world events type of stuff, and perceptions of the United States and that type of thing, and then you have questions, just like when we were here last year, when we were in Soweto and we were talking to our tour guide, Sipho, You know, and we were having some discussions about some of the things that we were watching on the news over there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's always interesting, man. But I find myself, you know, you just listen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I don't feel it's my place to too much inject too much of my opinions on things because I don't. You know, I'm not there.
You're not
you know what I'm
there,
saying? I don't
yeah.
understand
Exactly.
all the intricacies and stuff and the history to the level that they do.
Right.
So, you know, for me, it's just about listening.
Yeah.
You know, and then, of course, being able to hold an intelligent conversation about it. But for the most part, I'm educating myself on
Yeah.
things, and I learn a lot each time.
Yes.
You know, and so yeah, it's just very interesting to do that. But that's important to me. Respect and consideration for the South African people in all things. You know, and I would hope that, you know, that would be reciprocated, you know, to us as well, because that's what we need more of.
Yeah.
You know, we definitely need more of that, and especially you see it a lot of times. Okay, here you go, coffee.
I know. I'm sorry. I know.
We need more of that, especially, you know, with the online thing, the internet. You see a lot of exchanges back and forth, and you see a lot of the misinformation and stuff that
It's
you know,
a lot
and
of that.
a lot of that, and things that have been sown back and forth by different forces and stuff who have an interest in keeping us misinformed and resentful and you know, about each other and that kind of stuff. But I don't
You
care to
can't buy
be that
into
person.
that. Yeah.
I refuse to be that person, and Mel and me will not be that. That's not something that we would engage in. It's going to be all love with us.
Because to combat that is to have communication and talk.
And unity, right? And discuss things. So, but definitely, as we go forward, you know, one of the things that's important to us, like I said, we're just regular people, and so, you know, we continue to work our plan.
Yes.
You know, on this side as well as that side. So we do our traveling, you know, back and forth, and we hang out and we link up with people, and you know, we learn and we network and we partner, you know, figure out ways to partner, you know, and at the same time we continue to handle our business on this side because, you know, obviously we still, at least at this point, we still have to work every day.
Yes.
Because we came back, it took us about four days to get our sleep cycle back.
I really just got back to my cycle really probably yesterday. And I'm still just dealing with my stomach issues, unfortunately.
We're not talking about your stomach
I
issues.
mean-
We're talking about sleep. We don't want to talk about your stomach
I'm
issues
just saying
at this
sleep
point.
and stomach issues.
We've been talking about.
I just
Back to
put it out there.
Okay.
Okay. But yes,
Stomach
I'm back to I'm back to being able to you know, to sleep during the night and not getting up at 2:30 U.S. time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the morning, you mean?
Yes, 2:30 in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
2:30 a.m. Yes.
So, but yeah, so, you know, we back to work and everything. And of course we have to do that because, you know, that's the key to us really being able to do this stuff over there.
Yes.
You know, we have to have financial stability.
Yes.
You know, and again, like I said a little while ago, you know, financial stability, embarking on something like this is key. You know, before this whole thing for us has been, it's been in the works for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Couple years.
And so, you know, we took the past, especially during COVID and stuff like that, which, you know, saw us around the world, you know, pretty much stuck in the house for the most part. And so you take that opportunity to save money and get lean, as we like to call it, you know, cut back on all the garbage and stuff and the frivolous spending, and, you know, just alter. The most important thing I think that happened was that it helped to alter our mindsets and readjust our value system.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely to
Yes.
really recalibrate our value systems about
is
what's
true.
important in life. And that really allowed us, even though we've always been pretty responsible, but it really,
Seeing so many people die and stuff, it was definitely an eye opener. Yeah. So definitely put some things in perspective.
yeah. But as far as, you know, and I'm talking more so financially.
Yeah,
we're getting
yeah.
things in order.
Yeah.
You know, not that things weren't in order, but
Yeah.
just really getting things to the point to where we could say, okay, we're going to chase this South African thing.
Right.
We're going to go and we're going to buy a piece of property because we're in a position to be able to do that, you know, and we're going to give ourselves some options going forward. So that if we don't want to have to be in this situation here, we can go to another situation where we can have, you know, less stress, if you will, so to speak, and some of the other things that just comes along with being in our society.
But you must plan. I mean, it takes proper planning.
You got to plan, and you have to have. I would never recommend to anyone to go into a situation like this unless you are financially stable. And I'm talking, you know, debt, having your debt under control or no debt, that type of stuff, because you know, they're just things that could potentially come up with your owning a piece of property. Again, there we go again. Having a residence in another country, that when you're not there all the time, you know, they're upkeep things. There's just a certain amount of risk that goes along with that, because you're not there to watch that property all the time.
Yeah. Then you have to travel back and forth. So that's money to travel back and forth over there too. You have to take all of that into account. Absolutely.
You're talking, you know, because we're traveling back and forth, and each time, you know, certain times a year is going to be more expensive than other times a year. So you have to account for those tickets, you know, those round trip tickets to get over there, and then you may have to go on a whim at some point. Let's just say you have a fire or a flooding or something that happens in your residence. Guess what? Unless you have an agent on the ground over there, you know, somebody that you know that you can call in and say, hey, can you check this out for me? Can you handle this situation for me? You may be on a plane over there spending, you know, if you're talking US dollars, you know, $1,100, $1,700.
That's on the low end.
Yeah. If you're flying Delta, you might be spending $2,100 to fly round trip US, you know.
Yeah, there's monthly fees and stuff that's associated with, you know,
depending upon what type of community you buy in. Yeah. If you buy into a body corporate, you know, a sectional title scheme, right? You're going to have a body corporate, which is the equivalent of an HOA, a homeowners association, a property owners association over here, which it has its benefits as well, right? Because you're talking to maintain communities, secure, gated, that kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about any lawn upkeep or any of that. You know, but you will have a monthly fee with that. You will have your taxes. So, you know, there are different expenses that you're going to have.
Utilities, just as if you would have here in the States.
Absolutely. You know, so
a lot of things to consider financially.
And so you want to be on as good a financial footing as possible with that. And so in order for us to be able to make sure that we can maintain those things, then we have to make sure we stay gainfully employed on this side. You know, and adjust our lives accordingly over here in order to facilitate us going over there, you know, every so often as we do, and be able to, you know, kick back a little bit and do stuff that we want to do there, and, you know, maybe experience some entertainment or other things, dine out, you know, those types of things. So along with that, you know, and we also, you know, take the time, like now, to better understand, you know, the culture. Right? Better understand the culture and the history and those types of things. So, you know, because you just don't want to be someplace and just be there. At least I don't want to be.
No.
You know, I want to have some genuine connection to the place and to the people. And that's what we're striving for as well. And I would recommend that to anybody. I mean, again, you know, if you're looking at going someplace and living there, you know, let it not just be somewhere that you're just there existing. You know what I'm saying? You know, take the time to embrace the culture and the history and learn the history. And so those are things that I've always done, you know, but even more so now, like even the things with the getting our Zulu, you know, language and stuff like that. And I know we probably sound like crap.
I know. But we're trying.
Probably sound like crap.
We're trying.
But we'll get it. We'll keep working at it and everything, right?
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect. At least that's what they say.
Yeah.
So again, this is all in the context of our obtaining a residence or establishing a residence over there.
Right.
You know, and it's not specifically the process of us buying the real estate, which of course we're working on the documentary there. And we will do, you know, little small tidbit episodes where we'll discuss some of that process. We'll put out information. regarding that. And I was telling one of the posters who posted that we're going to start doing that because they're interested. And by the way, of course, I'm sure this individual knows that there are other, channels out there that do that type of stuff. They have like real estate tours and stuff like that, but we're just one specific approach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The way that we approach it is going to be different than the way some other people do.
Right.
Exactly. Ours has been a more measured and drawn out approach, because we tend to be a bit more conservative the way that we handle things, because we want to make sure that things kind of fall into place, and we don't like the unexpected stuff.
Right.
We like to kind of know how things are going to go.
Exactly. So we're doing it kind of step by step, so you see the entire process from beginning to end, which I think is important when you're purchasing another residence, regardless where you're doing it, be it in the States, in another country. Knowing those steps from beginning to end, I think, will be helpful, especially if you haven't done it before.
Yeah. So what I would like to get into now is I'd like to discuss specifically the episode from last week, and like one particular commenter who posted on on the video, and they were talking about I guess they were saying that they are interested in relocating to South Africa as well, but then they went on to mention some things, and it's some things that that we kind of hear about South Africa and that type of stuff. And I'm not sure if they were aware that I knew this, and I did respond to them that yes, we're well aware of these things, and having knowledge of this, it went into our calculations of still making the decision to purchase the real estate there, to establish the residence there, to purchase the residence there. And so they made a mention of things like the wealth disparities in South Africa. They talked about the high unemployment rate, the fact that major businesses and stuff are pretty much white owned, and not owned by the black people in South Africa. And I, again, I was aware of all that. That there's a relatively high unemployment rate. I think it's somewhere around 32. Last I checked, 32.6%. It was down a little bit from previously, but it's still considered high, right? Obviously, we have here in the United States, somewhere around just under 4% unemployment rate. I well understand that the wealth disparities exist. That there, I think it's about 70% of the land is owned by white South Africans, and not in the hands of black South Africans. And of course, all of this is a result of the apartheid system, right? And so these are things that they have been struggling or fighting with or over since 1994,
right?
And I'm aware of things like the land expropriation act, and what's it called, expropriation and restitution, which was part of the Constitution. I guess it was written into the Constitution. And in fact, when we were in Soweto last year, you might remember some of the conversations that we were having with CFO when we were looking off in the distance, and we saw that housing that they had built, and he was talking about like teachers or something, that they had housing that was for teachers or whatever, educators and certain individuals and stuff. And how when we look across the township, we could see, the shacks across the, for lack of a better way of describing them. I guess that's the way that they would be described. But the housing that was across in the distance, and then we saw the constructed housing off in this distance. And he was explaining to us about how, the government had promised so much housing by a certain amount of time, and, I guess the pace at which it was being built, was an issue. So those are all things that are, that kind of tough to listen to, especially, as an American, being over there and standing on the streets and seeing that, and it's like, wow, and you obviously want better for the people, right?
Right.
But it was interesting, as he was explaining that, and so that, that spoke to the whole thing about the wealth disparities and stuff, and some of the fallout from the apartheid system. It was one thing that I found surprising. And I actually read this today. The guy that I was talking to at the security point he said something to me, and I found it strange when he said it, but I mean, obviously, it's his experience. I think I had trouble maybe understanding it coming from him because I assumed he was close in age to me because he looked like he was similar in age to me. So I was like, and I remember back when I was just a kid and even a preteen, teenager stuff, the apartheid thing. We were teenagers when it ended, 1994.
Right.
We were in high school, right? And so, you know, I remember even before then, you know, being a kid. So to hear him say to me that I don't know apartheid, and he was saying he didn't live under it, right?
Yeah,
you know, I guess his parents did, of course, but he did not.
Right.
And so I was like, you know, I didn't say anything, but I was thinking, I was like, wow. It kind of threw me off because I assumed that he was probably closer in age to me. And maybe even if he was, maybe he was just saying that his experience was he wasn't as exposed to it, I guess.
Right.
You know, or maybe he didn't have as much knowledge of it. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. But I just listened to him. You know, I didn't really respond too much or come back or pry too much.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to listen to his perspective. And so, but his thing was that, you know, a lot of those things he didn't experience. And so I think the point that he was making to me was that he didn't quite view things through the exact same lens today, present conditions and stuff like that. You know, I mean, he sees the disparities and stuff like that.
Right.
But he was just telling me that, you know, I guess his point was like here in the United States, some arguments that we make about certain things, one person might agree with and say, oh yeah, that's right, I agree with that, right? But then the next person may say, I don't really agree with that that's the solution to this particular problem.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
so it was one of those things. And so again, but that's why I listen.
Right.
But nevertheless, back to my point, you know, being aware of those things, those are very real things, right? And so, you know, but for me, when I look at that, I say, okay, that's a problem, but then there's also a solution. And so that's why I say, you know, that's why, you know, coming there as an investor, so to speak, you know, is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're an investor and you're investing into that society, then you're, you know, adding to the tax base.
Yes.
You know, you're as a tourist, you're spending money. You're you know, even stuff like, you know, buying the jerseys.
Yeah.
You know, I think I think my man hit me up for 700 rand for this and the other jersey.
Yeah.
Which I was glad to give it to him because it was good. I saw it was a good deal to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, yeah, man. You know.
Yeah.
Feed the economy.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that's what it's all about, man. Spend your money. If you got a little spare money, man, spend it.
So what did you find out today?
Huh?
What did you find out today?
About what?
You said that you researched and found something out today.
I don't know. I think I already mentioned it. I think you just. I think I put it into what I was discussing.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, let me take a sip after that. You throwing me off.
Hey, I just want to make sure.
Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. So, but yeah, so you know, so those wealth disparities exist. You know, and it's something that you know.
But it exists here too. I mean, unfortunately, it's
absolutely
everywhere, and it really
absolutely because
there.
You know, I think Black people in the United States, we own 12. We have 12% of the wealth.
Yeah.
Of our white counterparts. So it's no different in the United States.
No
I mean,
different.
there's a huge wealth disparity.
Huge.
You know, now, you know, relatively speaking, you know, United States to South Africa, yeah, that's a relative situation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's not be fooled.
Not at
you know,
all.
we have wealth disparities here in the United States as well, based upon race.
Yes.
And due to the same. Due to the same causes.
Yep.
Right. Same contributing factors.
Yes.
So and we have to figure out how to work through that. We have to figure out how to push through, and that's one of the things. Like Mel and me, the podcast. Okay, that's one of the things that we share. Some of the different, you know, values that we've adopted and different approaches that we've used to kind of work our way through that to make sure that not only us but the generations that come after us, our kids, are in a better position.
Exactly.
And so that's what we hope That's what we hope to bring,
Yeah.
To South Africa.
Yeah.
Just those ideas. Again, not imposing anything upon anyone, but just figuring out how to partner and how to take those best parts of us, what we have to offer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Intellectually, financially, creatively, professionally, those things. And so that's I think our core.
Yeah, just try to overcome some of those roadblocks that have been placed upon us, because they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but we definitely saw, when we were going through the process of purchasing a residence over there, I started looking up a few years ago. I was like, man, all the real estate, it seems like all of the developers, everything I looked up, I was like, oh, they're not black people. But when we were, when we were there, everywhere you look, you saw black people.
Yes.
But, when you look at from a business perspective, like who's running things,
right?
So very aware of that, and that's something that that we as individuals, we can't. We can't fix that. We can't do anything. We can't do anything about that. The only thing that we can do is be aware of it and do our part. Like I said, to invest and partner with people, and each, like they say, each one teach one.
Each one, yep.
We each do something. And the more that we connect, and the more that we share, and the more that we inform,
and we can expand
the stronger we get. I'm telling you, people, we just have to stick with it. We have to engage, and we have to stick with it, and one by one.
That's the thing.
I think we can do this. I mean, you're talking about the entire diaspora, across the globe.
Exactly.
The more of us that wake up, and the more of us that open our minds to partnering up as a people, we can make great things happen.
Yep.
This world is big enough for all of us.
It is.
I don't care what color you are.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, we all are given this same earth to exist upon, right?
Right.
We got to figure out how to coexist.
Coexist altogether.
Exactly.
Yes.
And because we see enough madness right here in the United States.
Yes, every day.
Which is why we were, like I said, open to exploring elsewhere as well. So, but that's pretty much our aim, is to approach it from a professional perspective. Is to leverage our professions.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to having an opportunity to figure out a way to plug in over there.
Yeah.
As we establish ourselves more, how to take what it is that I do from a technology perspective, and engage with young people there somehow.
And me from the services perspective.
I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to definitely figure that out. But I have to, as we spend more time there, and we get out more and we have conversations, is to kind of just kind of come to understand things, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to that. So professionally, and I think also, like we were just saying earlier, is bridging the gap, because that's a huge obstacle, is bridging those gaps. And I think that gap needs to be bridged from both sides.
Yeah.
It's to take even with as we learn about South African culture, right, and the different dynamics there, and we figure out how to get in where we fit in there. I think that there's some benefit, like I said earlier, with our experience here,
right,
in presenting to our South African brothers and sisters, so that they can better understand us as Americans, because obviously they have Americans over there living now on the ground,
absolutely.
people that are doing their thing over there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much exposure, which of course with us being in Johannesburg South, okay, I'm not sure how many of us are down in Johannesburg South though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because from what I see, a lot of us tend to go over there and we want to be in the northern portion.
Oh yeah.
Up around the Sandton area, Midrand, Waterfall, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's been my experience with most people who I've interacted with.
Yeah.
That are American over there. That's where they are, and in fact, that's where we stayed when we went last year. We stayed in Sandton.
Yeah.
And the reason that we stayed in Sandton is because that's what I was seeing online all the time. Santon.
Right. Until we
Right.
started doing more research. You
Yeah.
started doing more research.
Yeah, and then I just saw the beauty of Johannesburg South, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, it's beautiful down here.
Yes, it is.
You know, just and back to the thing when we were driving through last week, we were going over to Glen Mall, Glen Shopping Center, and we were going through Mulbarton,
Oh, yeah.
and we were driving up through those hills, and I was like, and I remember telling you, I said, man, you can tell there's some money up in these hills, right?
Yep.
You tell there's some
Look right
people
to
with
the right
some
and
money
saw it.
up there, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then I went, when we got back, I said, okay, let me really do a demographic, investigation of the area down in which we live, right? Because that was not something that was really a big deal to me. It's just that I noticed when we were driving around,
Yeah.
I started seeing. I was like, okay, I'm starting to see more Caucasian people down in this area, right? And that's when I saw that. I think in our area it's about 50 something percent. 50 something percent Caucasian.
56%.
56%. And so that made sense then when we
Yeah,
were
it
driving
did.
up through those hills, and
Yeah.
I started reading on the Mulbarton area and stuff. I was like, okay, so Johannesburg South, there seems to be more of a congregation of Afrikaners, I guess,
Yes.
in this area. And of
Yeah.
course, I think in Santon too, because there's a lot of money up in the Santon area too.
Yeah.
But definitely down in that area. And of course, we still have a lot more to learn.
But I was surprised, though, when you told me that.
Yeah.
As far as the high number, though, the 50.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I wasn't
because-
expecting it to be that high.
Yeah, because the population of South Africa as a whole, I think, is 8%.
Yes.
8% white South Africans. So
Yes.
you're like, wow. So there's
Right.
a high concentration. It goes to show you how the concentrations are
Yes.
in certain areas. But nevertheless, it is what it is, and it is what it is. It's just something that was noted, that we
Yeah.
noted in the process of learning. And again, I didn't really make a big deal about it, when we were looking to purchase, because I was just looking for something that was going to be smart for us financially.
Yes.
Looking in the area that we bought into. So that's cool. But I like the area. Down
I do
there.
too.
that
I really
area.
like it,
So
yeah.
I'm interested in seeing what it will have to offer.
Yeah.
In the years to come.
Yeah, because it looked like it's going to be substantial growth and stuff out there based on kind
Yeah.
of what they have outlined. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see
Yeah,
that.
because up in the waterfall area, that's like a lot of massive development.
Yes.
is going on up there, and so it's cool to see that they are expanding into that South Johannesburg area for development as well.
Yes.
So looking forward to it. But bridging that gap between our brothers and sisters there and us here is definitely going to be one of our aims with Mel and me as we go forward in trying to create that content that's going to appeal, to our South African brothers and sisters as well. Excuse me, to just do content that's going to focus on bridging those gaps.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
What other way to contribute? Our aim, time and capital. Our time over there
Yeah.
and capital. So we keep working.
Yeah.
We keep working to try to make money so
Yes.
that we can continue to invest and go over there and spend.
Yes.
In which, if you really think about it, what we've done thus far, look at it for what it is. We're Americans, we live in the United States, we're United States citizens. But we have taken a portion of our, for lack of, we'll say, financial assets
Oh, yeah.
and placed into South Africa.
Africa. Yes, we have.
By
Yes.
purchasing that property,
Yes.
that's effectively what we've done, right?
Yeah.
It's no different than like if you're investing here in the United States and you buy stocks or bonds or whatever, you invest in whatever, you buy land, right? So what we've done is we've taken some of our financial assets, and we placed in South Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I also had to open a bank account,
Yes.
right?
You have bank
So I have to
accounts.
deposit money into that bank account.
Yes.
So there's more assets
Yeah.
placed into South Africa, right? So we can do both things.
Oh, yeah.
As
absolutely.
Americans, right?
Absolutely. People do it all the
And
time.
more of us need to do that. So for our American brothers and sisters out there, especially Black American brothers and sisters, start investing.
Yeah.
Broaden and expand your your portfolio, if you will.
Especially
right?
if you're traveling over there quite a bit,
Investigate.
Why not? Yeah.
Do the research, investigate.
Yes.
But I encourage you.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I fell asleep last night, I was watching YouTube. I had a bunch of videos that I was hearing playing while I was asleep. They were talking about investing in emerging economies and developing nations because of what they project as turmoil here in the United States. That was playing last night. Just like these are the financial experts on YouTube.
Yes.
Right? They're encouraging you to find other places to place your money.
Yes.
And I think one of the best things that ever happened for us is, like I said, over the past couple of years, is really tapping into how money works.
Yeah.
How money works and how finance works.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean that it changes your whole. That can change your life. Change your whole perspective.
It can.
And once you start seeing beyond just a hard piece of currency and start viewing things as assets, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, and it took us, because at first we were, even just with holding the money in the accounts, for a long period of time. And then, like you said, when you start seeing things different now, you could lose that money tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And then you're not even gaining any interest or anything on it. You have all your money sitting there. So, yeah, that was good for us to definitely look at it from a different perspective and that just comes with learning, listening, researching, and all of that.
Yeah. So, capital investment in that property, that piece of real estate over there is a huge investment.
Yes, it is.
Into the South African economy. So I would like to encourage, and it's of course, as long as the South African people will have us.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, and that's something that was always in the back of my mind, because I think about, I would like to at one point, and we've kind of talked about this, as let's just say if we retire early over there, or at whatever point that we do, or end up there full time, we can take the piece of real estate that we have now and we can repurpose that.
Yeah.
And that can be something that can be let or leased or whatever, to a South African.
Yeah.
For a reasonable price, because we don't have the stress or the pressure of having to capitalize at a really high level on it.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? Because we own it outright.
Yeah.
We could afford to give somebody a good deal.
Yeah.
On by letting that property.
Exactly.
So that's another thing that we see as well. It's not just something to just come over there and accumulate. It's something that we see to be usful.
Unfortunately, which is what most investors do, just come and accumulate, and then they charge a high monthly, rent, for the place.
They're capitalizing.
Yes.
They bought it as an investment property.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I think, it comes down to your mentality. How much money do you think you need to make off of someplace?
Right.
You don't have to be greedy. It's good that we're not greedy people.
Right.
So that I think that positions us, with that mentality to be able to benefit, someone on that side, when that time comes. And again, this probably won't be our last property that we purchase there.
You're right.
If we're able to do so, we may, get another one, and that can be something that we let out as well, so, but we'll see. And those are things that in the process of my continuing to research that I need to better understand, and I want to just know for myself, the level of property ownership, by native South Africans.
Oh, yeah.
How easy is it for them to acquire property?
Right.
Because they obviously have a bond system there. I know how difficult it is for us here nowadays, especially. So that's something that I intend to educate myself on more as well, to just better understand that and help shape my perspective. So, but I think about all those things, man. I think about so much stuff, because that was a part of me. It's like, I don't know if we want to buy, because I was thinking about, man, how many South Africans in the Johannesburg area are able to purchase this same piece of property that I'm able to purchase.
Right.
So I was thinking about that, and it was tugging at me. It's like, man, do I really want to do that? But then I thought I'd say, well, let's just say that they're not able to purchase. They're building over there. if we don't buy it, who's going to buy it?
Who's going to buy it?
Is it going to be the Chinese that are going to come
Right.
buying up
Yeah.
in large groups like they do here? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that to say anything bad about Chinese people.
Right.
I'm just stating that as a fact because
Right.
that's the level of investment that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Not only in the United States, but especially South Africa,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I think, and this is why I think it's very important that more of us African Americans,
So that we can
being
own
as how
it.
we have African blood that runs through our veins,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we are estranged from the continent, then we need to get on board as
so
well.
that we can own it.
Exactly. You know,
Yep.
and not necessarily that. Well, I guess it means that we can own it. I guess what you're saying is just have more African American
Yes.
representation on the continent,
Yes.
so that we can seek to reestablish our roots with our
Exactly.
people there.
Yes.
Better way of saying it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I made that.
Oh, no. But yes, that's
But
exactly what I
yeah,
meant.
yeah. So that's it's always a delicate way of trying to express things, at least with me, because you know I'm always concerned about. Again, it's about respect. You know, with me, you know, I don't ever want to be viewed by anyone as being an elite, because I know we're anything but elite, especially on this soil. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we do okay, but again, we just regular people.
Right.
So that's what I want to make clear. It's like I put on my pants the same way you do every day. I have the same issues that you have, the same health concerns, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
You know, so yeah. But that's what we do, man. I think we just try to do things the right way. You know, and continue to build relationships with people in person, on the ground there, online. You know, because the more that we engage and talk with people, I think the better off we are. The stronger those bonds come, and we can become more trusting of each other, and you know, and just grow the respect and the appreciation for each other.
Yeah.
You know, so but that's pretty much, I think, what kind of has driven us in setting out to establish a residency, a physical residence there. You know, it starts with the mindset. It starts with your mindset first and foremost, and that's something that's big with us, because that's going to help. I think that helps as we go forward. You know, in our present residence and future residences that we might acquire at some point, and the work that I see us doing.
Yeah.
It's that mindset.
Yeah.
So
It's a big step. But I think, you know, though it may be, you know, people may be, you know, fearful in the beginning, but, you know, I think, like we said, if you have a purpose and, you know, it's something that you want to be committed to, then I think it's doable. But again, during the research, having a purposeful plan that you've implemented, then it's possible. It's definitely possible. But it's definitely a big step. So I don't, you know, don't want to, you know, take away from that. It's because you're talking about making a huge purchase. So it's definitely something to consider.
yeah, take your time with it. Think things through.
Yeah.
And get yourself set. You know, financially stable. You know, in a good situation to where you can embark upon such a thing. But most importantly, like I said, man, link up with the people every chance you get. Get those perspectives, man. Those on the ground, real life perspectives.
Because those are the ones who know best.
Yeah. All right, so I think we can go ahead and wrap this. I'm gonna figure out what to name this episode. So we're gonna do some tidbits. We'll probably do a tidbit coming up here soon to my friend who asked about the real estate thing in particular. We'll do a tidbit. It'll just be like maybe a couple minutes. Maybe we'll do a TikTok. We have a TikTok as well. We don't post on TikTok as much. We do every now and then, but it is Mel and Me on TikTok as well as Instagram. It is Mel and Me. You can find us there.
Yes.
So you can link up with us there as well. But we appreciate all of you out there, man. South African family, man, y'all.
Yes. Subscribe.
Y'all really came through. Yeah.
Comment.
So here we go. Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share. That's how you know we
Like,
don't,
share, and subscribe.
we don't say it enough.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what to say.
I know, because we
don't
always
say
forget.
it.
We always forget. A lot of people do it, but we do put the little prompt
Right.
on the bottom
Oh,
of the
yeah,
screen.
yeah, that's
and we'll do
right.
that again. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe our channel.
Yes.
We'll continue to share interesting content. Hopefully, it's interesting to you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're gonna definitely try to do more South African focused content. To just talk about different things and different experiences that we have, and in between our trips over there. I think when we come back from
We'll do
trips,
recaps.
we'll have recaps, and then we'll have different experiences that we'll gain each time we go over there. That'll give us other stuff to talk about. We can continue to learn, and you can educate on stuff that we might have seen or gotten wrong, or help us with our Zulu a little bit more.
Yeah, please help me with
Stuff like that. Yeah, so we're gonna figure this thing out and how to keep it interesting.
Yes.
But again, we just appreciate everybody.
Yes, we
And
do.
so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up and chill for the rest of the evening. And at the end of the day, as we like to say, it's
Mel.
and me, and this has been
The
podcast.
Podcast.
Later.
Hello.
Salakashe. And I messed up the pronunciation. Salakashe. I got to get that.
That's why I didn't
Salakashe.
say it, because I
Salakashe.
knew that I was gonna.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that. The back of the mouth thing. But
Yes.
later.